I was starving for her. She was feasting on someone else. That's the moment it all snapped into place. The stolen glances at her phone, the distant kisses, the way she smelled like a different brand of cologne when she came home late. My name is Nathan Calloway. I'm 34 years old, and this is the story of how my perfect wife turned into my biggest betrayal, and how I made sure she paid for it. For 7 years, Isabella Calloway was my world, my fire, my addiction. She was the kind of woman men fantasized about in dark rooms, the kind that walked into a room and made people lose their train of thought. And she was mine. At least, that's what I believed like an idiot. We weren't just a married couple, we were a storm behind closed doors. We didn't just make love, we devoured each other. Her nails raking down my back, my lips bruising her skin, the way she'd look up at me with her mouth slightly parted, whispering my name like a prayer. But prayers don't mean shit when the person you're worshiping has already found a new god. It started slowly. At first, I told myself I was imagining things, the way she'd turn away when I tried to kiss her, how she suddenly stopped moaning my name like I was the only man on earth. Then came the excuses. Not tonight, babe. I'm exhausted. I'm just stressed. Work is insane. Can't we just cuddle instead? Cuddle? The woman who used to drag me into the shower, pull me into the back seat of our car, wake me up in the middle of the night because she couldn't sleep without feeling me inside her. Now she wanted to cuddle? I should have known right then, but I didn't want to believe it. I was blinded by love. And then, one night, reality bitch slapped me so hard I couldn't breathe. It was a Friday. I came home earlier than usual. The house was dimly lit, candles flickering on the dining table. My heart clenched. Was she planning a surprise for me? Maybe I'd been overthinking. Maybe we just needed a date night, something to rekindle what we used to have. That's when I heard it. A soft, breathy moan. Not just any moan. Her moan. The kind that made my skin ignite every time I heard it. The kind that used to be just for me. But I wasn't even in the damn room. My stomach dropped. My blood turned ice cold. I stepped forward, barely breathing. The moans got louder, sharper, filthier. Oh God, yes. Just like that. That was my wife's voice. And she wasn't too tired now. I stood there, frozen. My fists clenched so hard my knuckles went white. But instead of storming in, I listened. I forced myself to hear every dirty, sinful word that left her lips, every gasp, every desperate little sound. I should have been furious. I should have felt like ripping the door off its hinges. But you know what I felt instead? Cold, calculating, ruthless. Because at that moment, I wasn't just a betrayed husband. I was a man about to teach his wife a lesson she'd never forget. I stood there in that dimly lit hallway, listening to the sounds that cut through the silence like a knife. It was like my entire world was shattering around me, but at the same time, I felt something else. Power. A cold, chilling power that surged through my veins, fueling the quiet rage building inside me. I didn't rush in. I didn't burst through that door like a fool. Instead, I took a step back, and I let the silence hang in the air. I wanted to hear everything. Oh God, right there. Her voice was breathless, trembling with pleasure, a sound I thought only I could evoke. But it wasn't my hands on her now. It wasn't me making her tremble. It was him. The realization hit me like a punch to the gut. My wife, the woman I adored, the one I thought was my soulmate, had been giving herself to someone else. She had been keeping a secret from me. A secret lover. At that moment, I didn't feel anger. I didn't feel sorrow. I felt something far more dangerous. Disappointment. I thought I knew her. I thought I could trust her. But what kind of woman gets tired of her husband and spends her energy on someone else? I took a few deep breaths, steadying myself. I could feel the tension in my chest, the bitterness rising. But I knew I couldn't react like a madman. I wasn't going to make the same mistake that most men did. I wasn't going to beg for answers. I wasn't going to beg for her love. No, I wasn't that man, not anymore. Instead, I slipped away quietly, making sure not to make a sound. I grabbed my phone and sent a quick message to my best friend, Ryan, the kind of friend you can trust with anything. "Get ready. I'm going to need your help with something big tonight." Ryan knew me well enough to know when I wasn't joking. He didn't ask questions. He just sent back a single response. "I'm in. What's the plan?" I smiled. The plan. As the hours passed, my thoughts raced. I couldn't stop replaying the sounds I'd heard. Her desperate cries, the filthy words, the ecstasy that wasn't mine. My thoughts turned darker, sharper. I thought about how I could confront her. I could storm into that room, throw the door open, and demand the truth. I could scream. I could cry. I could beg for an explanation. But the more I thought about it, the more I realized how weak that would make me look. I would look like the fool who had been played by his wife. And that was something I couldn't live with. So I waited. I didn't say a word, not a single word to her. I played the calm, cool, collected husband who had no idea what was happening behind closed doors. By the time Isabella returned home later that night, I was already in my game face. She had no idea what was coming. She walked in, looking tired, her makeup smudged, her clothes slightly wrinkled. She went straight to the kitchen like she always did. But tonight, I wasn't going to let her hide behind that fake smile. She turned to me and said, "Hey babe, sorry about earlier. I just needed a little break. I've been so drained lately. You know how it is." I looked at her, and for the first time in a long while, I didn't feel anything resembling love or sympathy. I saw her for what she truly was, a woman who thought she could get away with playing me like a fool. "No problem," I said, my voice eerily calm. "I get it. You've been really tired lately, huh?" She nodded, oblivious to the fact that I knew the real reason for her exhaustion. I took a slow breath. "It's okay," I said again. "I just want to make sure you feel comfortable. You know I'm here for you, always." I watched her face soften as she took a seat, clearly relieved by my lack of confrontation. She smiled at me, a smile I now knew was a lie, but I wasn't ready to confront her yet. No, I was patient. I would play my part. The show wasn't over. The night wore on. She went about her usual routine, showering, getting ready for bed, and acting like everything was normal. But I wasn't fooled. I could feel her anxiety building as she sensed that something was different. Finally, she climbed into bed beside me, just like she always did. But I could see the tension in her body. She was waiting for me to speak, to ask the questions she knew were coming. But I didn't. I let her wait. Instead, I turned to her, leaned in, and whispered softly in her ear, "How was your night, honey?" Her body stiffened, and for the first time, I saw fear flash across her face. She knew. I smiled to myself. Now the game was on. She flinched. Just a tiny movement, but I saw it. The way her breath caught in her throat. The way her fingers curled against the sheets. The way her eyes darted away for a fraction of a second before she forced herself to meet my gaze. "It was fine," she said quickly, too quickly. I smiled. Liar. Isabella had always been a smooth talker, always knew how to bat her lashes, pout those lips, and wrap men around her little finger. But not me. Not anymore. I leaned in closer, my voice smooth, controlled. "You seem tense, babe. Are you sure everything's okay? She nodded. Too much nodding, too much pretending. I wasn't supposed to know. She thought she had gotten away with it. She thought she had played me for a fool. But she had no idea that I was about to play her instead. I traced my fingers down her bare shoulder, feeling her body stiffen beneath my touch. I knew that touch used to drive her crazy, but now she barely reacted. It was like I was a stranger to her. Are you still tired? I whispered. Her lips parted slightly, hesitating. She shook her head. No, I'm okay. I smirked. Oh, I bet you are. But I wasn't going to touch her. No, I wanted her to feel it. The same cold rejection she had given me over and over again. I wanted her to crave me, beg for me, just like I had begged for her. So instead, I kissed her forehead like she was a child, then turned off the lights and rolled onto my side, away from her. Silence. I waited. 1 second, 2 seconds, 3. And then finally, I heard it. Her breath hitching in frustration. Good. Feel it, Isabella. Feel what I felt. But this wasn't enough. No, this was just the beginning. The next morning, I acted like nothing was wrong. I kissed her on the cheek, made her coffee, even packed her lunch like I was the perfect clueless husband. She had no idea that I had already set my plan into motion. That afternoon, while she was out working late, I met up with Ryan. She thinks she got away with it, I told him. Ryan leaned back against his car, arms crossed. And you're really not gonna just call her out? I smirked. Oh no, my friend, that would be too easy. I want her to suffer. I want her to feel it down to her soul. And I already know exactly how. Ryan chuckled. Damn, man, you've got that look in your eye. What's the plan? I looked at my best friend, the only person I trusted. I'm going to make her think I'm the best husband in the world, and then, when she least expects it, I'm going to rip it all away. Ryan let out a low whistle. Shit. All right. How can I help? I grinned. Step 1 was already in motion. For the next few weeks, I became the perfect husband. I did everything for her. Bought her flowers, sent her sweet messages, planned weekend getaways. I became the man she always wanted. And the best part? She started feeling guilty. I could see it in her eyes. The hesitation, the forced smiles, the way she started kissing me a little too passionately, as if trying to convince herself that she still loved me. But she couldn't fool me. Not anymore. Then the real fun began. One night, as she was in the shower, I took her phone. I had already memorized her passcode weeks ago. I knew what I was looking for. And there it was. His name, his messages, his pathetic little declarations of love. God, I can't stop thinking about last night. You're driving me insane, baby. I want more. I love you, Isabella. Say you love me too. I let out a low laugh. Oh, buddy, you are in for one hell of a surprise. I sent a message from her phone. Come over tomorrow. My husband is going out of town. And just like that, the stage was set. Tomorrow, I was going to watch Isabella walk straight into her own destruction. The trap was set, and she had no idea. The next evening, I kissed Isabella on the forehead before heading out the door, just like I always did. I told her I had a business trip and wouldn't be back until late the next night. She smiled, but there was something different in her eyes this time. Not excitement, not guilt, relief. She was happy I was leaving, happy to welcome him into our home, our bed. The moment I walked out, I sent a quick message to Ryan. It's happening. Be ready. He responded instantly. I got you. Let's destroy this bitch. I didn't go far. I parked a few blocks away, just out of sight. I had already set up the hidden cameras in our bedroom earlier that day. Tiny, undetectable, with crystal clear audio and video. I didn't want to just catch her. I wanted to humiliate her. And then, right on cue, he showed up. I watched from my phone as the cameras streamed everything in real time. She greeted him at the door, looking like a woman who had been waiting all day to be devoured. "Missed me?" he asked, his voice low and cocky. She bit her lip, ran her fingers through his hair, and whispered, "More than you know." I should have felt pain. I should have felt my heart shatter all over again. But you know what I felt instead? Satisfaction. Because this was the beginning of her end. I watched as they kissed, as she pulled him inside, as they stumbled toward the bedroom like animals. But just before things could get too heated, I sent her a message. A simple one. "Hey babe, forgot my wallet. Be home in 5. The reaction was immediate. Her body froze. His head snapped up. "Shit!" she hissed, scrambling off of him. "You have to go, now!" She shoved him toward the back door, panic all over her face, but it was too late, because at that exact moment, I walked in. And I wasn't alone. Ryan was right behind me, his phone recording everything. The look on her face? Priceless. She tried to act normal. Tried to act like she hadn't just been caught like the filthy liar she was. Nathan, I thought you were... I held up a hand. "Don't." My voice was calm, controlled, deadly. Her lover, this weak, pathetic excuse of a man, tried to say something, but Ryan stepped forward, cutting him off. "I'd shut the fuck up if I were you, buddy." I turned back to Isabella. "So," I said, tilting my head, "too tired for me, huh? But plenty of energy for him?" Her mouth opened, closed, opened again. She looked like a fish gasping for air. "It's not what it looks like," she blurted. I let out a low laugh. "Really? Because from what I saw on the cameras, it looked like you were ready to ride this guy like your life depended on it." Her eyes went wide. Cameras? I pulled out my phone and pressed play. There, in full HD glory, was everything. Her lips on his, her moans, the way she had dragged him inside, starving for him, and just like that, she crumbled. "Nathan, please, I can explain." I stepped closer, my voice ice cold. "Explain what, Isabella? That you've been cheating on me for God knows how long? That you've been sneaking around while I've been breaking my back to love you? That you've been fucking this piece of shit while telling me you were too tired?" Tears spilled down her face. It was a mistake. I didn't mean..." I smirked. "A mistake?" I pointed to the screen. "Because that right there? That looks pretty damn intentional to me." She collapsed to her knees, sobbing. "Please, Nathan, I love you. I swear, I love you." Ryan let out a dark chuckle. "Wow, she really thinks you're that dumb, huh?" I shook my head, disgust curling in my stomach. "You don't love me, Isabella. You loved playing me. You loved knowing that I would always be here while you spread your legs for another man. But guess what?" I leaned in, my voice deadly soft. "I'm not that man anymore." And then I dropped the papers. She blinked, her tear-filled eyes darting down. "Divorce papers. Already signed. Already done." "What?" she stammered. I grinned. "You think I just found out today?" "Oh, sweetheart, I've known for weeks. I just wanted to make sure I destroyed you the way you destroyed me." Ryan snickered. And damn did he do it well. Her lover tried to sneak out the back, but Ryan grabbed him by the collar. Not so fast, buddy." I turned to the guy who had helped ruin my marriage. "So this is the kind of man you are? Sleeping with another man's wife like a fucking coward?" He opened his mouth to speak, but I punched him so hard his knees buckled. Not enough to knock him out. just enough to remind him who the real man was here. That, I said, shaking my fist, was for thinking you could take what's mine. He scrambled out the door like the pathetic little rat he was. And Isabella? She just sat there, sobbing, her world crumbling around her, just like mine had. I turned on my heel, walking out the front door, never looking back. Ryan grinned as he followed. Damn, man, that was some cold-blooded shit. I smirked. Revenge, my friend, is best served fucking frozen. And that's how I walked away, free, powerful, and completely, utterly satisfied. Isabella was left with nothing. And I was finally alive.